We head back to the upside, led by big tech in a big way this afternoon. The NASDAQ once again back in charge. It's been a different story over the past few days. It's been more about the S&P and the Dow versus some of the tech names from the NASDAQ, but not the case today. We're also seeing yields back to the downside in a pretty big way this afternoon. They've kind of thrown in the towel early on this morning after a brief rally and are right back at lows, essentially right across the board for the 30-year, the 10-year, even the 2-year, I noticed, back to the downside. Here's Bitcoin, meanwhile, trying to take out the highs. This is a daily chart, but still right at 35,450 after starting the day in negative territory. Tough to see there, but there's a wick downside. So we were lower initially, right back to the upside right now for BTC. It's been, all about big tech today. There's Apple, 1.7%. Just took out the highs through 182. Great looking day for Apple. Some of the other smaller tech names also having pretty good bounce back in the afternoon here. I mean, Twilio, 3.5%, just bounced off 55, trying to get going again. It was up a lot more than that. A few other names just to consider here. We touched on this morning, but Adobe, pretty impressive day, 3% to the upside. Great looking technical breakout for Adobe on the daily chart. CRM as well, up 2.6% for Salesforce. There's Meta, Microsoft, and Google, all 1+, Apple 1.5%. Some of the chip main names lagging a bit, namely Nvidia there, 0.5% only. Broadcom, AMD, Intel, 2%. We'll get into a few of those as we get into the afternoon. Potentially, I don't want to jinx it, potentially the longest winning streak here in 2 years for stocks. See how we close out, but pretty good afternoon, a pretty good start to the afternoon. Oil downside in a pretty good way. We'll check in with Frank Caberna coming up this afternoon. We'll talk about rates. We'll talk about the dollar. We'll talk about what is to come coming up in just under a week's time. We'll get the next reading on inflation. That's going to be the next kind of checkpoint as far as this whole conversation is concerned. And then what does the Fed do going forward as far as interest rates are concerned? The past few Fed speakers have reiterated this stance of not only higher for longer, but don't tempt them because, they'll throw another quarter point on it just for the sake of it to make sure they get the job done and get us back to 2%. So Frank coming up in just under 45 minutes or so. We'll talk to him. Let's talk about what we were dealing with this morning. There was a number of individual catalysts as far as tech was concerned. Uber, on the other hand, reported earnings downside initially to kick things off, but even Uber getting a boost here, 2.7 back to the upside despite a forecast that was questionable, guys.
So anyways, Sharif just walked by and Sean and I were talking a little football there, but
I'm trying to trade Dak.
We're literally talking about him.
He's
trading.
not good, so I can get draft picks for him now. And he's finally playing well. Marissa just goes to me, she's like, why didn't you phone me before the show? And I go, I'm too distracted. And she's like, oh, yeah, trading and this and that. I told her, I was like, no, I'm trying to discuss trading Dak in fantasy. And then, of course, she laughed. So.
More or less, my whole thing is if you can get a first-round pick in DK Metcalf in a dynasty league, like that's literally a no-brainer.
Yeah.
And if you're going to get that, you got to take it.
But I want, you know what I want?
He sucks
I want
too,
Caleb.
He also sucks. So let's get to Uber. It's Uber we're starting with, right? Just double check. Looks over at Program Monitor.
What about Uber?
Confirms that Uber is still to the upside. Uber, if it breaks 50, yada, 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 we like a 50 break on Uber. It already broke this level on the daily chart. Look, it wasn't the greatest quarter in the world, but sometimes it's a price action that dictates it. And another reason why when earnings reports come out pre or post market, maybe don't get caught up in the move in the pre-market, because this was a real move in the pre-market to the downside when they actually, it was a slight miss. And so that's the bots and everybody selling off on that slight miss. And then this is what happens. Actually caught a bit of a bid here, 46, and it looks like it's going to make a run at that $50 level to the upside. A couple of other longs in here. It feels like it needs to be above 49.5, that resistance point, and taking out that 50 for continuation. But the market seems to want to break this high, and if it does, it's a monstrous level for Uber. I'm happy about the quarter, to be sure. You want to see it settle down for a little bit. And if you want to try to short something off this Uber level, why not take a shot at Lyft? Not looking at where it is, but I'm sure if Uber turns around off 50, Lyft's a good short wherever that happens to be.
All right, you can see the trades that we have on board. It's really just the Apple trade. The Palantir trade, we only have 40% left. We'll talk about that in a minute. It's this trade right here, Rivian. I mean, the more I think about Uber, I think about cars. And then when I think about cars, I think about Rivian. And then I think about getting out right here and where Rivian's at the high of the day right now, as the market is as well. Pulling back just a little bit. For Uber, oopsies, it's not a blue ocean. Oopsies, it's a New York name. Oopsie, it's not NYMEX. There it is. Yeah, shorting 50, I think, is the only play. I gave that to Sharif on the midday there. It was a little bit, it didn't get back to that level. But there's the short Uber into 50 bucks. I still like it. I think it was a great quarter. You're about to break out. If you don't get Uber right now today, well, then when the NASDAQ's up another 1% tomorrow, Uber will probably be at $51. So you just have to decide, is this a stock that you like? Because it's off to the races, it's breaking higher. You had an opportunity this morning to buy down here at 46.50. You could wait for it. I mean, but again, it's just about what do you think about the futures and where the NASDAQ's going. We're at that high of 15.4 right now as we speak. So I could see a little bit of a pullback happening right now. I would leave Uber alone until you get to this 48.50 area. So I feel like the market could pull back a little bit into VWAP. We're starting to happen right now. There's 15.4, sorry. And no matter what I think about Dak Prescott, what I do know about this level is this is going to be pretty key. And I think if you can get up, that high is only like 50 handles away. I don't know if it's good enough to get there right now. So, what a good move it's been so far here today. Do we have another 50 or 60 handles in it? I'm not sure about getting that back up to the upside, which is why this market is failing right now. So a breakdown below right here, not great for the market. And I feel like maybe we have to get into some shorts as I look at, do we have Apple on the board? No, we don't. But Apple right now, look at this. We bought that dip, that BS story about whatever it was working on some bugs. I was just like, they're going to stop working on their iPhone to fix some software bugs or something. I don't know. That sounds like that takes a couple people and a computer to get that fixed. But right there, I think we'll just get out if it breaches the 50 period. So 182.09. Man, it looks like you get a haircut every day. You're looking sharp today.
Does it even grow?
Look at this guy. We got those sunglasses. You got those glasses. These are like designer. Man. Randy, you're looking younger as you get older, my guy.
Oh, here we go.
What? I like it.
He's buttering him up because
It's
Sean wants an
honesty.
afternoon coffee.
Yeah, how's that coffee? No, I could take one. But yeah, no, I really think that. People have told you you're probably looking good for your age. 37, never looked younger, bro.
Right.
Never looked younger.
Wow.
Look at this guy. Who is this
looks
guy,
great for
Sharif or
37.
something? I turned over. I thought it was Randy's younger brother over there. Plus, I want a coffee.
He's going to get the coffee anyways, man. He's too nice like that. You don't have to butter him up. Randy's just a good dude. Always a good dude. What were we? Oh, back to the desk, and then we can talk about
like that. We'll talk about Microsoft or the market or something.
I just saw this one as well, just popping up. Worth a note here. TripAdvisor did take out the highs there, but struggling with this aftermarket high from yesterday. Better than expected report for Trip, right at 18 bucks. Huge day for TripAdvisor as well. Yeah, Microsoft, pretty good day to say the least, as well as far as this whole group goes, as we saw when we came on there on that board. Among the leaders, it was all about AI and OpenAI, specifically his developer day that was yesterday. CEO made an appearance.
Yeah, I got to go back and watch that because probably a lot of interesting stuff to talk about. ChatGPT-4 Turbo, guys.
Strap in.
Yeah, here are the headlines. It's going to now have data from April 2023. Prior to that, it was January 2022. It's also going to accept way bigger input. About 3,000 words was the max you could input. Now it's going to be up to 300 pages, so you can put in entire PDFs. It's also going to support DALL-E, which is the image AI, and then anyone can build their own GPT. So you can take your own data and make it and enter it and be able to interact with it. So it should be interesting to see how this gets unveiled.
I thought it already could. Like you could feed it an image and it would tell you.
Yeah, with the plugin.
Yeah, I tried that one time with a recipe. I took a recipe with my phone out of a recipe book and then put it in ChatGPT and said, "Make me a shopping list." It worked.
God bless AI.
I mean, there's obviously going to be
That worked?
far more lucrative. I mean, look, that's not a bad one. I'll tell you that right now, because all you got to do is when you're surfing, oh, this looks like it's pretty cool.
Oh, you know what I thought
But
about?
when it actually does the shopping for you, that's the next level, because I don't want to have to, like, it's one thing to make up the list, but if you're not then automatically shopping and then having it delivered to my house too, then you're slacking. That's the end game, I think.
I was gonna say I heard something. Maybe it might have been on a pod. Was it on a podcast or something? But it was like asking it, and it was that's kind of a cool example. Asking it how to make certain things, like.
Oh, I've done that before.
Yeah, so I don't know. I thought that's pretty neat. I didn't realize you could do that.
I asked for one day.
But that would be cool if it got connected.
Well,
then to DoorDash or something.
or whatever, yeah.
Or Instacart.
Yeah, any of those.
What am I doing with Connor Brown here?
I asked it once for I wanted
you,
I wanted a
Randy.
unique way to make a Manhattan, and it was like,
Oh,
give
yeah,
me
right.
like if you want,
right.
if you're just making drinks at home, and it was like, yeah, just give me a
I'm gonna
Manhattan.
ask it if I should trade Dak Prescott.
But then add this. Don't ask it that. It's going to tell you to trade Dak Prescott.
Yeah, it's gonna say what the hell are you doing.
Microsoft is an absolute monster. Microsoft is a beast. $367 is right around the 52-week high if it gets there. If you somehow make it there, I think that's the level that you short. The market, the trouble with Softy here is, oh, you're not going to be able to tell on my NQ chart. I guess if I do it just very quickly, because let's just get this out of the way now, because we're here on the futures. So I'm just going to throw up the Qs, my trade ideas. So if you look at like a channel down on the, I mean, this is a weekly chart, but if you look at this end channel and then go right back into this last wick, like the third kind of lower high that we put in, that's exactly where the Qs are right on. The NASDAQ's right on this resistance level. And if we're going to punch through, a lot of names are going to obviously go in that moment. But the reason why you're barcoding on any of these big names up at this top, bit of a double top here in the 15-minute for Microsoft. These bad wicks are annoying, but you can see at that 362.5. We're having some trouble punching through because you're at that resistance point. I would suppose there might be some shorts available, just scalp trades if you want them. I don't really want to be fighting it. It's feeling like we're trying to punch through this level. I haven't seen a red candle since about 10:30 on a 15-minute on the NASDAQ. So I need to be convinced that you really want to short that top. But you're at a monster resistance zone. I don't want to get into longs up here either, but I might still be buying some dips. I'm only left in AMD because I was in DraftKings again, and that just trailed me out. DraftKings kind of just failed the 36 breakout. So I'm now trailed out of DraftKings. I might buy the dip again on this, maybe 35.5 or so. But down to, then there were two for me long. I'm not taking Microsoft because I don't want to chase anything on this NASDAQ high.
And I've lost. I got a
Right now.
points. I think I've spun away about 5,000 points today. I'm going to see how many I have. Okay, so is Microsoft a long? I mean, we wrote down those same levels, man, and I've even looked at it since. We got, okay, I still have 7,300 points. It's all good. All right, so I must have had about 12,000 before today. All right, so forget about Microsoft. It's gone. We like 355, 357. It is gone out of oblivion, but I just want to talk about this because this is the honest truth right now. My stop order for Apple is in at 180.50, okay? So here's the drop down where I got long at 180.75. 25 cents worth of risk. That first take right there is 25 cents for half. We're out of half. Then, now we are in the money $1.52 on 25 cents worth of risk. So we always talk about, you know, education and this and that. It's like you can do this kind of a trade. I mean, the same, I could talk about this trade that I made earlier today as well. You know, you're going to have different risk to reward. I mean, Apple's an absolute monster, which is why I took out half there. Like, I was happy getting 25 cents in the middle of the day. Since then, obviously, it's on a straight line to the upside. So we are going to respect this. But the reason why I wanted to show you that to you is because I went to cancel my stop order. And I was like, what? I must have had the wrong price. And then I looked down and was like, yeah, we're now 8-1 or whatever on the risk to reward. So you got to now start to put in stops. And you got to use levels for reasons. So this 50-period moving average has really been watched the whole time up. Now, did it work? You know, that was probably the stop out right there, why we got out that first time. Because that's probably where the 50-period moving average was at that time. Did it cost me? Sure, it went up a little bit more. But at the end of the day, you know, it's kind of like this Amazon trade that I had. Like, Hopefully I can zoom in just a little bit more here and give this to you. Like here we're long Amazon and we get out there on the 50-period break. Sure, it continues to go up. Like that was 142.50. So you're in the money, out of the money now 75 cents because you got out. But if you don't follow like rules or whatever, then you don't have structure to base your trades next time. So for me, that's the thing. So I'm going to put this stop in right now at 182.19, just below this 50 period. All right, I was going to put it at 24 to not sacrifice another 5 pennies, but who really cares? All right, push enter, make sure that it's all triggered out, and then that's that. So that's basically what we're doing with that Apple trade. And again, I don't ever expect, I don't say I'm holding this for a huge risk to reward or anything like that. I just got it, I have half the trade now, which is good, but I got to just get better at managing the size. Because I think a good example when I look back at that Amazon trade is like too many outs up here sort of at these highs and not letting it float up so that when I get out, I'm kind of like, yeah, well, I only have 10%, I'm going to get out now. But if that's like 50%, then you can trade it a little bit differently. Maybe you only get out of half of your last half, 25%, once you break that, and then you can hold a little bit more. But for right now, you know, you make those decisions and you live with them. So that's just a little bit of a structured trade. And I mean, okay, we don't have Palantir on the board. I just wanted to look. So again, the other position that I'm in right now, my stop order is right here, a break of 70. So we just got long. This is the bottom. And if you sort of zoom back out for Palantir, it was a great trade right there. So we're fine with Palantir. It's just we tried the long again here and lost it off VWAP there. Now you're really starting to go underneath. And I was just going to use a break of 70 and we're out. So we're getting pretty close to there right now. I just don't want to hold this. Like I said, in the afternoon, you guys saw me bleed out a little bit of net yesterday afternoon, just waiting for something to happen. And I was actually, it's funny because I was talking about DraftKings earlier and how Neil had the long. That was one yesterday that I was just legging into the short and it just kept going up. So like no matter what I think about Palantir today, up nothing. Well, it's up 1%, I guess, pretty good. But not really working out. No need to bleed down into the 50s. So we're long at 74. We'll get out at 68. I think the risk to reward works right there. But here comes Palantir. Looks like we're going to get stopped out. Just wanted to run that through everybody.
All right, we had this Nvidia and Baidu note this morning. You were digging into a little bit more detail on that. I'll let you handle it. But long story short, essentially, Baidu goes with Huawei on a big purchase for AI chips. This is going back to August. I mean, again, it's not something that's going to be specific today, essentially, for Nvidia, but more a theme, possibly, that we could see more of this to come.
Yeah, it could be the first step, Brendo. Baidu ordering 1,600 Huawei 910B chips for 200 servers. And this is as a result of the Biden administration's embargo on chips on China. We know that the A800 and the H800 Nvidia GPUs were specifically made for export to China to circumvent some of the previous restrictions there. The H100 and the A100 were already on the ban list. This is an interesting step for Huawei, especially after we heard them make a 5G chip for their Mate 60 Pro phone. That took the industry by surprise. I think this does as well.
Yeah, ends up being, as we saw on that board when we came on at 2 o'clock, bit of a choppy day overall compared to the rest of the group, guys, for Nvidia.
I mean, look, like, you can talk all about like those different chips, but when Nvidia hits you with the HAL 9000 chip, then it's game over.
What is that?
Don't worry about the HAL 9000 when that rolls out. Open the pod bay doors. Nvidia, I've said this, and obviously at this particular point, like I keep thinking Nvidia is going to slow down off this 400 bounce, and it keeps not happening. The only good news, I haven't actually been shorted, so at least I haven't lost thinking it's going to roll over, but it's getting pretty darn close to this 470 level where I got to put up or shut up on the daily. It just continues to stair step to the upside. Now, obviously, look, I'm in AMD right now, and for the last, I want to say it's been the last couple of weeks. I don't know if you've noticed this, but Nvidia has not been a stock traded very much on the show, and it's weird. And I know the reason I haven't traded is because I keep thinking it's going to roll over and then it continues not to. So there's never that continuation to the downside in this move to the up. That's why I'm not trading it. But Intel off that 36 consolidation or 38 consolidation today. This was when we say consolidation or accumulation, yesterday is exactly that's the definition of it to me, where you close at 38, like 10, and then you can't break the high. So you can't break the high, but you're pulling back in and you're not going anywhere. You're finding support at 37.90. So long in front of that at 38. I think 39 is resistance on Intel. That's a reason to be out. And then this is 39 on the daily chart, like that local top in this channel. But this has been holding the same channel for the entire year. You can't say enough about it. Like, forget about the news for, well, I guess Intel's the chip acts next, so I probably shouldn't even mention it. Whatever, it's too late now. But it's holding that channel forever. AMD is the one I'm in. I didn't have the breakout in AMD, but the second it cleared out both of Friday's top and then, kind of Monday morning, that Monday morning pre-market high, waited for it to dip back in. It held 113, jumped into the long. I like the long all the way into the high of the day here. If the market takes out the high, then I think AMD can at least get up to 114.5. So we'll give that one a chance. And Jameson Barna, I'll let you know why I got out of DataDog when we get down to it, because I've already, I didn't even notice. Usually we'll do like one chip name, and so I'll say all of them that we're trading, or at least that I'm in that particular moment. But I just noticed that Intel's there. So if I say DataDog now, then we don't have much more for the rundown.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. I saw that quote, and I was like, oh, I saw it on the board as well. Okay, Nvidia and Baidu. Okay, so I was talking with some guys in the back there, and I said that one of the main reasons, and there's a couple reasons, but the main reason why I'm very, very bullish is I don't really see too much hawkish reasons for anybody to be short right now. We saw the put-call ratio was still favoring the short side for the NASDAQ. That's going to be good for the longs, right? There's a lot of money on this island that hasn't gotten in. Apple didn't have a great quarter yet. It's at 183. So I just was looking at this. You got a weaker job number come through, so that's going to be good for the doves, right? The people that are negative on the market or think the market's going to go down, they can't sort of say that, hey, we still have a strong jobs market, therefore the economy's strong. But a big thing that I have right now is what's coming out November 21st. And that just is like, do you want to be short Nvidia heading into that quarter when AMD just did this? Well, now my chart, I'm trying to be all dramatic here, but my charts aren't loading. But when AMD just did this, went from $94 all the way to $115 in basically a straight line. They're not even supposed to be the one, AMD, and they did this. They're up 25% in a week. I know we have Fed and I know we have other reasons. I just think that if you're going to go long or short on Nvidia, then you're just there for a trade and not there for much longer than a minute. So you got to get ready for Nvidia. Now, it's still ways away. It's still 2 weeks away. So I don't think that necessarily it's going to happen super quick. But I don't want to be short this name. So I feel that if this market's going to take off, it probably is going to be on the back of some of these AI-related names, all sparked by the big dog here. And especially if Sharif likes the guy's jacket. If Jensen comes out with a sick blue jacket, especially Sharif if it's Pepsi blue, then we're in trouble.
Specifically Pepsi.
Let alone if the guy's driving around a Jaguar or whatever, then there's an even bigger problem.
It's game over.
So, I don't know, Sharif. You like Nvidia here?
I thought he was talking.
How can you not like Nvidia, Brendo?
I thought he was talking about DataDog. I was trying to find a picture of the CEO of DataDog. Let's talk about Intel here before we get to DDOG. Nice consolidation right at day highs here. This was the note from this morning, Wall Street Journal, talking about Intel being in the lead to get, quote unquote, billions from the CHIPS Act. That's not nothing.
Yeah, I just saw that too on CNBC, saying that they had secured funding for a secure chip. They also reported that Intel is looking at spinning off its foundry business once it gets afloat. Nascent industry now, 300% year-over-year growth for that business, so we'll keep an eye on that. Also this morning, the CEO, Pat Gelsinger, saying the 18A chip design is moving forward with production next year. So good day. Let's see what Intel does the rest of the week.
I have bad news. DataDog CEO wears a lot of T-shirts. Sorry.
Sharif loves T-shirts.
Why? Literally the only person on the show right now who has a short sleeve shirt on is Sharif. So I don't understand why that's such a bad deal, big deal.
Anyway.
I know it's a golf shirt. I can see the collar. I'm just making the point that I don't see why that's such a bad deal. First of all, anyone out there that can even, without Googling it, can you name the CEO of DataDog? I know I can't. I'm sure most of us can't. Randy found his next Halloween costume, Darwin says. I don't know, but you know what I was disappointed with? I'm just going to digress for a second.
Costume.
Last year, everyone on the show had fun with Halloween. We dressed up. I think we always have a lot of fun with it. Brendan had a great costume recently, and I felt he should have turned it into a yearly thing because he's capable of pulling off a CEO costume, and he already did it with Mr. Scarage, and I think he could have done it again this year. So I want you guys in the chat next Halloween, pressure Brendan to do another CEO. I thought it was a heck of a lot of fun. It's only a year away. He can figure something out by then. But I had kind of already talked about Intel, so I'm going to make a weird pivot to GFS because they reported. Global Foundries, this is a name where, you know, when things aren't going good, and I'm not saying the stock's going to continue to go down, but you see where the market's at. Remember we're talking about the Qs up at those highs and everything sailing and that upward channel on Intel and Micron's breaking out on the daily chart and everything's looking pretty rosy, but this cannot seem to get off the schneid. And this is the kind of thing that I'm going to notice. If this market rolls over, I own the stock in my long term, just get that out of the way. And I look at the way that this has been sold from the highs today. As the market has continued to hold the high, this is just very slowly selling off and selling off. So I'm noting that weakness on what was, you know, a pretty decent quarter and a decent bounce on the session. It's still up 5%, but rejects the 50-period moving average. It's a little bit of relative weakness that I'm going to note for myself today on GFS. The next market rollover in these chip names, GFS feels like it should be a short, but we've already sort of mentioned Intel. If Intel gets to 39, I probably look for a short up there, just based on the resistance on the daily chart. It's like it's been 20 cents away for like 2.5 hours, so it's not. It seems like it's a lock, but it also, when I trailed out, it was one pullback, and now it's the exact same price. So it's really not moving at this high, but like one more push into 39, and I think it can be shorted.
Intel, yeah. So Intel, again, was and still is one of my best stocks today. Although it's that same story where we got out at 39. We talked about getting out there. Well, it's actually right here, 38.75. We already got out there, dipped down into the 200, should have been bought up. Now the 200's too high, and you may fall back in as the market's really just barcoding right now. I'd love to put something on here, but if it's going to be anything, I don't like the short in Intel right now, but if I was going to do anything, it probably would be a short, and it would be around 39. So if we get up there, let's test. I mean, there's too many levels now. You could see there's a big EdgeX book right here at 39, but there's too many levels for me to see if there's any real volume there or size. So, you know, for right now, we'll wait to see if it gets up to 39, and then I think that's a short. But we've really loved this Intel long for a while there. And Brendan, you remember Mark, his Intel long is what we talked about there when we went out without saying too many specifics. But that's been a really great long there from the bottom. So, yeah, yesterday we shorted. Today we're long. It was the right call. Out too much early. And oh, yeah, this might be a good teaching point just for myself, too. You know, yesterday that top right there was 38.15. We just got out way too many times in and around there off. Like some of our longs are right at 38, actually. We didn't have it. Actually, it didn't even really. I don't know if it broke. I mean, I see there might have been a wick to 98, but either way, not enough to get me out, obviously. So right there, too many outs there. So next time, maybe less. But then as we got up, I really liked this out on the pre-market high. So I think that was good despite it then ripping up, which is why I eventually just took the final piece right there. So Intel today, a banger, Brendo.
Yeah. All right, let's finally, let's get into DataDog. By far the biggest mover in the pre-market this morning when we came in. Sat down was 20+%, huge report. We were struggling initially at this $100 level. Got a bit of a pullback, and then it finally blasted through it at the open, but really good look Great guidance, great forecast for DataDog.
Yeah, and didn't give back the gains, Brenda, holding that $100 level. Good full, the third quarter revenue growth, 25% year over year. Listen to this. They only have about 3,100 clients that they can call their own, but each client is averaging, the average revenue per user is $100,000. So they're spending big money on that. The outlook, they see a Q4 revenue of $564 million to $568 million. That's above consensus, which was $543 million. So it looks good. We'll see how they do.
All right, rundown as always, brought to you by Trade Ideas. If you haven't done so yet, take advantage. 20% off from us to you, Trader TV 20. You can even take advantage of, this started yesterday, but it's still on now. Take advantage of the 2-week test drive, $11 for 2 weeks, minus 20%. You get access to this as well. Their web app version, all kinds of cool toys in here, charts, you get news, you get data on the individual stock. Trader TV 20 over at Trade Ideas, guys.
And as Michael has mentioned, if you do the test drive, there is a portfolio challenge that they have with that. And I'm not to out him. He probably doesn't care, and he wouldn't. We're a live show, so Mr. Westermeyer, one of our viewers, if you send it in to me, then you kind of know I might say it. I think he's in 10th place, so he's battling some of the Trade Ideas peeps, and he sent to me he's in D. Westermeyer.
Yeah, Michael Noss was in first.
Well, I thought he said he was in second, and somebody passed him. So I think,
this was as of Friday. No, I wasn't here Friday. Oh, what's it been?
I think it was last week.
Okay, you have an update.
And then well, I don't know anymore because obviously some time has passed since then. But anyways, you can have some fun with that. I was asked why am I out of DataDog already. Most of it had to do with I had a 105 target on it, so I'll do it in reverse. If you look at the I mean, obviously it had a you-know-what candle here, and then the 105 bottom when it flat bottom broke, and then the long was off of this breakout at 102. And when the stock has made a gap like this, a couple of things. Like it's harder to find levels outside of that 102, and I'd never traded DataDog before. So a chance at a dip buy, like where was I going to dip buy? Didn't really know where I was going to dip buy the stock. Take a 100 break. In 100% hindsight's always, hindsight's going to be 20/20. Like you were resisting 100 here. The 100 break was probably really good on DataDog. But like I said, never traded it before, so I'm not going to punch long at 942 on a stock I've literally never executed on. Don't know, I have any idea what the spread looks like till it opens. I did nothing until it pressed past 102 and then retested that level on the daily, consolidate long at 102, takes them out in front of the high of the day, and then when it couldn't break out to 105, it got to 104.40, I believe, pull back in. I was like, okay, I had a trailing stop in there that didn't trigger. I got out in front of the high of the day. Close enough to that 105 target that I just took it out. And it's still same 102-ish range into 104.5. So up 30%, and really it's mostly a $2 range for like 90% of the day. If you throw out the pre-market, most of this day it's been in a $2 range. So I think if you're trading it now, it's a little bit thin of a stock to want a $2 range trade in, or even a little bit less than that. Like you can look at other names which will have much better liquidity for that kind of a range. If it holds 100, I think that's a great sign for this, especially in the next couple of days, if it can hold out that top and then maybe make another leg to the upside. But that's what you got to look for. Up 30% is great, but when stocks do this, you tend to see some profit taking, and I could see that come into play. It wasn't a hell of a lot of it today, but you might see that tomorrow and the day after. So if it settles down and holds 100, I think that's a fantastic sign for this name. But I am expecting probably some kind of profit taking. Things don't generally go up 30% without some kind of a pullback and in the days following that.
I have no idea what I'm going to talk about next.
I'm not sure either.
I'm not sure either. There was a stock. It's at the top of my head right now. I can't think about
Did you just say at the top of your head?
what it was.
We need like
it's Palantir
we
is
need
what
a
I was
ba-doom.
going to talk about right now.
You know, like the drum. We need that.
I mean, yeah, there it is. There's a little hi-hat there. I like that. Yeah, there should be a graphic, though,
So why don't
about that one, my guy over there. Oh, man. All right. Well, I mean, DataDog, Palantir, I mean, I know they're not the same companies or anything like that. One is run by a guy that has beautiful hair, Alex Karp. But right now, we're getting close, man. We're almost got stopped out of this. But here we go. We're long at 73. It's back to 74 again. We just held this one out for a little bit. But look at the sloping down, 50-period moving average. You know, could be something there. 1875. Do I have an offer there? I do. I have a small offer just in case. But I was saying to Ryan in the chat, I don't know how much I love this position. You were talking about it being at some Fibonacci levels as well. I don't have Fibonacci's even going on here. I mean, I guess we can sort of do something like this. And
now they'll never go away if you put them in.
I know, but I got to put it down to the bottom, right? What? Anyways, this doesn't even look. This is not right. Anyways, now. Hold on a second. How do I just?
No, there's a
There's
thing.
a way to edit it.
I know
have
it's
no
a pain
idea.
in the bottom.
But okay. Anyways, regardless, there. Palantir, I like it. We hit this earlier. It was a great long. I was just trying to get it into this confusion here, and just see if we fell back in, could we take that move back up? So yeah. Well, it's trying. So that's the position right now for Palantir. It's the only position I'm in. So we'll see if it can hold that 1870. I do have an offer here at 75. So if we're able to get a little bit right there, we can check it out right now. Just seeing that Alibaba's trying to go a little bit here. I don't know if there's news or anything about Alibaba, but I just saw on the scanner that there it is. Yeah, so nice move there, taking out the day's high. Again, right here for Alibaba. We know we like some Chinese names right now. It's been a good environment for them recently. Look at this nice upside move in Alibaba right now, trying to take out the 50-period MA. So, on the daily. So that's a good move. We'll see if this one can continue up. Okay, Palantir, I guess, just broke, or we got 75s anyways, cleared the level, came back. So there it is. We got, okay, now it's at 76, so good. Now we can see where Palantir goes from here. We only took off, again, that's 10%. We got out at 75. Why? I'm trying to change the methodology that I'm using. That's the 50-period moving average. And it's 2 cents. Now it's coming back in. We just take a little bit off. Realistically, 200 period, when you get a test of the bottom and you can get back to the 200 period on your 1 minute, that's a good target from what I've been able to see. So that's where my target is right now. Let's litter some 82, 83s and stuff like that. See if we can get upside for Palantir. But if the market does this movement all day where it just sits here, then I may be getting out of this in an hour or so. I have no idea, but you got a DataDog. Is that the big spike?
No, I just wanted to
Okay, go.
Okay. No, I've been asking for that. I feel like that we've been wanting that one with a graphic for a very long time, and apparently we've literally had that sound effect for months. I was just told, so I just added it to my. It would be nice if it actually had the drums and then something. So we have something to throw there. But we are now done. I think we have to go back to the desk at some point. But no, we're good. I don't know. I have no idea.
I mean, we could do this.
We're gonna
the rundown brought to you by Trade Ideas. Get 20% off right now your Trade Ideas account. You can also get the test drive right now for just $11 for the price of 2 coffees. Use the 20% off, and you are golden. Get Trade Ideas right now. Scan the QR code below.
Used by every member of this show. I know we already did it. It's fine. I'll figure it out at some point.
Trying to get double payment.
Yeah, why not? Rivian, I knew I wanted to get something. I haven't mentioned it, but I am in this one. I trailed out of DraftKings, and I'm still in AMD, which we did go over. But Rivian took out, I'll just zoom out this way. Stay on the 3-minute while it's working. So Rivian took out yesterday's bottom, put in a higher low, put in another higher low at VWAP, then broke out. So the next stair step upside, we grabbed the long on the dip. And if it breaks out, I'll take some. I think it can try to fill this gap in. At least that's the theory here. You try to fill this gap in, break the highs, and continue higher. So Rivian, kind of a weird one in that it spent some of the morning looking like it was weak, and then you get a very bullish lunchtime and afternoon break, although it's not going crazy right now. So you're seeing some stair-step action as the upside. And when the trend is up, you can always just stair-step it to the upside if that's what it wants to be. But I was alerted to Bitcoin in the chat. So I pulled this up, and I moved it to a 15 minutes. So there is Bitcoin back above 35, actually trending 35.5. I'll put this back on my daily because that's generally speaking how I look at it. But strong move up. Guess what's moving? I think you know what I'm going to say next. It's going to be coin. Right into once, twice, thrice into the high 80s, into the abyss. Will it get to 90? My 3-minute hates me, so I'll stay on the 15 in the daily. Look, if this breaks past 90, I think it goes squeezing. Until then, it's been a hot minute since this has been able to break out of those high 80s. It feels much more bullish today. Like the last times on the daily you see a wick there and a rejection, this is very different. This time we've held on to 85 for a couple of days with the same range. It's been more of a consolidation above 85 into a potential breakout. So, haha, I'm not going to say I want to short Coinbase in the high 80s. It feels very, very different on this move, and I don't necessarily want to get run over by this. I would rather be looking for ways to jump, to find a long or a way into the long that isn't taking out the high or waiting for 90. At this moment, it looks like a pullback into 87 makes some sense. If it breaks out 80 and gives you a consolidation over 88, then I think I would go for that. Like it breaks here, kind of gets to 88.5, shows you a dip and a consolidation off the 88 level. Plenty of time for that to happen. But I am not feeling the short in Coinbase. Doesn't mean I have to go long, but I'm not thinking auto short in these high 80s as it's looking very strong. A lot of bros talk. John Spruill and Ponzi saying, we are bros. Are you guys just that excited for the earnings? Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah, well, we talked about Starbucks and we talked about Bros, and we talked about that this morning. So we can have a quick look at Bros right now. Yeah, so
It's not really.
Yeah, again, like I don't know much about it. This is a Northeast, right? Is this from Portland or Oregon or something like that? Well, same. Yeah. Anyways, I feel like. Or Washington State, maybe. I'm not sure where this company is located, but we don't have any Bros around here. And I don't know if they're in the Northeast. They may be, but that's part of the expansion story, right? So again, not knowing that much about it, just looking at the stock. I really like these names when there's bottom opportunities, right? And I mean, you're coming into an earnings report right now where you're off the bottom. Starbucks is absolutely mooning right now. And again, I know Bros is going to be a completely different story than Starbucks. They're at the beginning. Starbucks is a very mature company, obviously, and reaching out to all these new parts of the world, including, of course, China, which is why Starbucks is up. And then Howard Schultz stepping down, and there's some things happening there. But I like Bros today. We'll see where the report comes out. I mean, again, it's just one of those things where look, I was looking up Dish, by the way, 23%. People were talking about that one earlier on. All right, so Bros. I believe we looked at this earlier. Yeah, so there it is. Wow, 23, same short float. Okay, so that's a pause for concern if I was short this because it's a crowded trade. And we've seen some stocks like Affirm. There's not even Affirm on earnings. Affirm was on a deal with Amazon.
Lemonade.
DataDog, Lemonade. A lot of names going to the upside. DataDog, I think, is only maybe a shorter, maybe 8% short float. It's kind of why I like Rivian, which is also 8%, so maybe I'm confusing them, into today, right? So I just don't know if people are going to want to be caught short. One good piece of news from Bros there probably sends that stock to the moon. So we'll have to wait to see what happens with Bros tomorrow. But I think that if anyone's going to ask me about on that list of earnings, and we will go over that, which stock has that potential for tomorrow, it's these two. It's Rivian and it's Bros, and we'll see. We'll see after that. I mean, even these guys were up, what, 15% or something on a positive EBITDA quarter as well. I don't know if that's not going to happen for Rivian, but I guess it could happen for Dutch Bros. I don't know. They're still net negative on their earnings, so we'll see what's expected tonight. 23 million in cash, so not great for expansion, but we'll wait to see how it happens with Bros.
And then there was one. Well, fine, it's going to happen. Wow, AMD just pulled back in a heartbeat off of 114. I just took that trade out. It looks like it's coming back in. I want to get 113s again if we can, but the market, I mean, it is starting to roll over from 15.4. Like, that's that big level on the future. Oh, goodness. I mean, I said I didn't want to have anything to the short side up there, but there's at least one name which has been a good short. I don't wonder if there's something available. And unfortunately, yeah, I don't see an entry on SoFi. You mentioned Affirm. It feels like if we're going to pull back from here, there was nothing I loved. I wanted to hold on to those longs. But the market is pulling back pretty decently now. So I'll probably be out of Rivian too if that takes out the 20s. Like if that gets out under here, then I'll probably be flat on the day. I wasn't really feeling just jumping into the shorts. Jameson Barna saying Oracle's been a turd all day? Really?
I love Oracle, but I haven't traded that today.
See, that would be disappointing on a day like today because this is I wouldn't have expected Oracle to look like this today. I haven't looked at it.
It's a turd burger?
Well, you know what? This is not a good day for Oracle at all.
I think.
Not only is it down on the session and when the market's at the highs, it just rejected the 50-period moving average. It rejected the 110 breakout. So that's not very good. Like that's a bad technical turn for Oracle. I like them.
I was listening to a podcast yesterday, and they were talking about Seinfeld characters. So who's your favorite?
I have to say George. I got to say George.
Yeah, I think it was remarkable because it was close between George and Kramer. I was always thinking, like, everyone always thinks maybe Jerry, but then it's like George had so many cool things, so many different things. But so did
I chuckled
Kramer.
just thinking about him, though.
Yeah, so I don't know. I wasn't sure. I was wondering what your opinion was, and then
Newman.
yeah, no. Oh, you know who got it? And it's rest in peace, Jerry Stiller.
Oh my
for
goodness.
the dad. I mean, he was amazing.
He was amazing.
Some people like Elaine, but yeah, there was just no votes for Jerry, so I just found that to be pretty unique. But then, what's Stiller's? I think it's.
Dude, what, are you talking about his character's name or Jerry Stiller?
Yeah, Jerry Stiller's his name.
No, it's Frank Costanza.
Frank.
Yeah, you said Frank.
Okay,
you had it right.
I said Frank.
Yeah.
I was like, was that what it was? Because you know what? The other thing was that came up that was pretty.
Are you doing that? Do you do that on purpose, saying Frank as we have Frank coming up?
No, I see that we have Frank coming up. I mean, that's the only Frank that matters.
I actually
Frank Caberna.
thought you were being slick there.
You know what else they said? That it was such a good character, and I never thought about this, that basically they recreated the exact same character in King of Queens.
That's
because
true.
he's the dad of Carrie.
And it might as well be the same character.
He actually basically does the exact same.
No, they put zero effort into that.
Right.
Which, to be honest, like
so Serenity now. Yeah.
But
exactly.
if you can, anytime people are like, well, they just copied that concept in a TV or movie. I mean, if you could be guaranteed to have it work
instant success
and not have to put any work into it, that's why you see a bunch of sequels, and that's why they repeated that character, because they knew it was going to be funny. So why would you do it any differently?
I just thought that was like really, really funny because someone brought that up, and I was like, yeah, I always think Jerry, but the other characters were so much. Yeah. He's the meat, but everyone else the stories were always based.
He's the writer.
As
my poppy falls off. He's the writer. He's the funny guy, but the other characters make it. I don't know if we are ready for.
Maybe. You know what? I never watched.
There we go.
I only watched a couple seasons, or maybe not even that many, but Curb. Like I never.
That's a great show.
I know, and that's the thing.
Show.
I'm supposed to be all over Curb Your Enthusiasm.
JB Smoove is one of my. I loved him in that show. I haven't seen every episode of that, but it's.
I was thinking about what to watch
funny.
over again because we did The Office a while ago. Everyone's watched The Office.
That was my workout show last year.
What? Oh, you know, I have no idea what he's saying.
I stopped watching. He's Shameless. My wife and I did Shameless for multiple seasons, and then a few seasons ago we had to give it up. It just eventually got a little bit stale.
Always
it's
Sunny
pretty
in
funny. You'll like
Philadelphia
it.
or whatever.
Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
I haven't seen that, so that would be something that I'd like to watch. Ted Lasso.
Ted Lasso.
You know what? I'm still on the last. I didn't even start the last season of Ted Lasso. So, anyways.
I still pay for Apple
you know,
TV and have watched one show on Apple TV and it was not Ted Lasso.
When is,
I really got to watch that show.
Yeah, we'll go to Frank in a second. I just want to think about one more thing here, and I don't want to keep Frank. What's that Netflix show that's going to bother me that was super, super popular? It's Korean, and there was that, Squid Game.
You didn't watch that?
No, I did, but I thought season 2 was supposed to be like, people were buying Netflix up like a year and a half ago, like thinking that Squid Game was coming through.
That was a good show.
What's up
there was another one that after we're done with Frank, there was another one on Netflix, which is similar to Squid Game. I thought was
yes.
I forget the name of it right now, but let's get to let's go back to the desk because Frank is waiting. We never want to keep him waiting.
Nope.
What's the name of that show? It's
Squid Game.
Oh, I missed Brendan's audio on that. I was still hearing the
I was just asking Frank, are you a Seinfeld guy?
There.
I don't think he can hear me. Can he hear me?
I got you now, Brendan.
Yeah? Okay, good. Are you a Seinfeld guy?
Big Seinfeld guy.
Okay, who is it then? Who's the character?
Best character. I mean, it's got to be George. I think that the guys hit it right on the head there. I mean, big Curb guy as well. If they haven't watched Curb in its entirety, it's amazing. And the new season's still nailing it there.
He is one of a kind, definitely. Let's talk about some market stuff. There's no good way to transition from that, but let's just talk about some market stuff here. We'll rewind the clock, but I want to make sure we get to the fact that what is to come this week is going to be important in the sense that, I mentioned it yesterday a couple of times, we get not one but two appearances from the boss this week, Fed Chair Powell. And will we or won't we get a little bit more from him than we did last week? Probably not, let's be honest. But I think there's a chance here for the messaging to be reiterated, because all day long we've been hearing these Fed speakers today even coming through with more of this hawkish, higher for longer, don't tempt us, we'll throw another quarter point at it if we have to make sure we get back to that 2%.
Yeah, and I mean the market is definitely yada-yadaing what they're saying, if that works there, because rates are still moving lower as we speak. Brendan, it's been a pretty straight shot from call it October 19th until now. It's been nothing but dovish action, bearish action in the world of yields. It's crazy to think that our 10-year has moved from its highest close in the last 15 years at 4.98, just shy of 5% here in the US, and has now moved down to at its lows last week after the underperforming non-farm number got down to under 4.5% in terms of the futures trading, now sitting around 460, 465. But yeah, it's been an interesting balancing act of Fed central bankers trying to kind of keep up this rhetoric around higher for longer, and yeah, we might still have a hike on the table, and the market now just going against them as they continue to punish 10-year yields, and they continue to price out these chances of another hike as they speak almost. We went from being, near 50% chance of another hike a couple months ago to 25% chance a couple weeks ago, 20% chance last week, and now it's down to 15% and dropping by the day that they'll hike again here to overnight rates. But yeah, it's pretty ubiquitous across the yield curve. It's been bearish action to interest rates, and that's been really rejuvenating stocks, as I'm sure you guys have all seen a lot of these tech stocks waking up, and NASDAQ set to, knock on wood here, close its 8th day in a row higher. It's been some pretty wild action the last 2 weeks, but as you and I have talked about so many different times, Brendan, this sentiment changes so quickly. And yes, we had an FOMC and a non-farm that both kind of came together and were translated as dovish for rates and bearish for rates, bullish for bond prices and bullish for stocks. But this stuff can turn so quickly. And there's, plenty of events coming up here that will have the potential to either really bring those yields down closer to 4% or bring them right back up to 5%.
Yeah, just bear with us, right? We're having a little technical issue, but we'll work through it as we continue along here. A couple of things to consider here as far as the overall market is concerned. A lot of eyes on what came out of China not only last night, but what's come out of China over the past couple of data releases. It was a little bit glossed over and glanced by this morning, I think, in the sense that exports coming out of that country fell. And this is, consecutive months in a row that we've seen this data to the downside, which, we all know how much, as a whole comes from China as far as goods are purchased in North America as a whole. That can't be a good sign as far as how this economy is doing.
Yeah, it's really creating some of the greatest tension that we've seen between the global economy and the U.S. economy, U.S., Canadian, North American economy, whatever you want to call it, that we've seen since back to 2015, really, as they continue to underperform in exports and their trade balance, which you might say, if I'm following U.S. data points, man, this trade balance isn't such a big deal. But keeping in mind that exports are such a big part of the Chinese economy, and the Chinese economy in general has become such a big part of the global economy over the course of the last decade, this data is really starting to freak out parts of that global economy, not quite in the U.S. yet, but definitely growing potential that it does seep over into the U.S. And what was particularly interesting there, Brendan, is not only the fact that they were expected to fall in exports by 3%, and they fell in more than 6% year over year in exports there, and their trade balance came in the worst that it has since February. But also their imports are up for the first time in several months, and this is, to your point, such a big player in the global economy who is dependent on sending goods abroad, and they're now importing goods at a rate that they haven't in the last several months. Imports up 3% year over year, and that's obviously sent Chinese stocks spiraling lower once again as the gap continues to widen between U.S. stocks and Chinese stocks. But fear being set off across several markets here. I don't think any coincidence that the U.S. dollar is back to rallying after it took 2 or 3 days of a break between FOMC and non-farm. The euro is down again, yen is down again, Aussie is down again, and Chinese stocks are down again as well, underperforming U.S. stocks by 50% on the year as that NASDAQ fights back the last, like I say, 8 days in a row here, fighting back to being up 40% year to date. And FXI, which is an ETF for large cap Chinese stocks, down 10% as they continue to move in opposing directions. And you have to wonder, is our global economy that we were told about throughout the 2010s, we're becoming more and more a singular global economy. Everything's correlated in X, Y, and Z. And now are we becoming more separated where the US can perform to the tune of 40% to the upside and Chinese stocks 10% to the downside? Or will that gap close a little bit in a bullish or bearish fashion, one way or the other?
As we started this off this afternoon here, there's more to come this week. We get some German inflation coming up after the close tonight or early on tomorrow. I'm sure we'll be talking about it, but more Fed speakers in general throughout the remainder of the week, including, as you saw there, not one but two appearances by Fed Chair Powell. We didn't get much really from him last week in the actual press conference at the Fed decision. If there is going to be any kind of reiteration as far as hawkish for longer, that same tone that we continue to hear, why would the market do anything different here?
I mean, at this point, the only thing that I could see is a moderate bounce back just from more of a price action perspective. Essentially, they've priced out so much of a potential hike at this point that if he comes out with his similarly hawkish tone, maybe rates bounce back a little bit and stocks give back a little ground just because it's been so one-sided since he spoke last week. But yeah, I would tend to agree with you that, of course, we're going to watch his speeches. He's got 2 speeches this week. But I think the market needs to see something more substantial to bounce those yields back and maybe take some profits off the table in that NASDAQ and S&P 500. But yeah, like I say, it'll be interesting. I don't think, given what central bankers have been saying this week and what Powell said last week, that there's any real chance of him going the other way and going more dovish. If he gave any lean in that direction, then you might see that 10-year really get back closer to 4% than 5%. You might see stocks really rally their heads off. But it'll be really interesting to see if the market even has any knee-jerk reaction if he comes out more conservative, more hawkish, as you'd expect him to be. But it'll be an interesting week, and it'll set up for a run of U.S. data that's to come more towards the end of this week and into next.
CPI, I was just checking, CPI next Tuesday, the next, obviously, reading on inflation for the U.S. So it's 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. We get Powell in the pre-market, and then 2 p.m. on Thursday, speaking at events. There is a Q&A I was reading at the one, or for the one on Tuesday. I believe the one tomorrow morning, he's just doing an introduction to some sort of speech or event, add an introduction. So we'll see. Great stuff. Frank Caberna, Director of Strategy over at IG.com in Chicago. Appreciate it as always.
Thanks, Brendan.
Thanks as always. He's always the smartest man in the room, so I'm happy that he agreed with me on the George Costanza. Because I felt like I feel like there's no wrong answer sometimes, but getting the right answers from Frank is the key. I know not everyone is excited. Sometimes we get excited for Powell, other times we don't. It's almost as if I know what it feels like right now when we look forward to him in the next few sessions, like you said, in the morning. The market's already rallying. It's like we don't want you to talk. It's like everything's already good. How about you just don't say anything and then we'll be absolutely fine? But that's sort of the problem. I just wanted to get to Uber for a quick second here. I mean, the market made a bit of a pullback, but Uber is pressing toward that 50 level, getting pretty darn close. If it fails a 50 break, I think that would be a condition that would make sense for a short. Like a break of 50 with an instant rejection would make some sense. Until that happens, the only new position I'm in is I took Roku. I was looking for something weak as the market was at those highs. Rivian broke out the top. So that one continues to go higher. I'm skeptical this market has enough legs to make a huge move through this huge level we're at in the Qs, but this has some room to play a little bit of catch up from today. I don't think it fills in the entire gap. I'm looking at about 1770 is as far as I think this one could go. And then I did grab into Roku. I didn't trade it all day today, thinking it would press closer to 86, never happened. Should have shorted 85. I'm short this consolidation, which might not last long. Right in this consolidation underneath 83.6, and actually going to tighten up the stop there. Because when you're short at the bottom and the market's taking out those highs and it's a squeeze name, as good as it was to the short side and relatively weak, this could easily explode up. So I liked it for a chance to flat bottom break and try to get into it off that little pop, but it's looking relatively strong. Sometimes you look at like the gap and you get enticed by that, and it's 3 o'clock, and when I'm taking a short into here, looking for a bigger move, well, there's only an hour for it to happen. It doesn't have all day to consolidate and then make a huge move to the downside. You almost have to be in scalp mode. So if in that vein, I'm already on the bid at 83, and I'm going to have a stop. I'm not going to let this get to VWAP. If I was setting this up for half a day or the entire day, then you give it more room. But that actually does not make a lot of sense here. So I will have, there it is, tighten up the stop when it broke that 50. Didn't make a lot of sense, so I don't want to sit in that one when it doesn't have the time I needed to work to that downside. So we'll be in and out of that. I think it's a mistake. So sometimes it's just the best you can do is get away from it. The market seems to want to go higher. The next two things I think come into play will stay in Rivian as it continues to go, but Intel 39 and then that $50 level on Uber, which I have a print at 50.05, so I must have wicked it already. I didn't actually see that happen, but 39 Intel, 50 on Uber. CCJ halted for news. Yeah, okay. Chemical Corporation halted news pending. So, I mean, I didn't note that, so I just go to NASDAQ Trader like I think anybody else can. Because it's halted for news, I haven't seen or I haven't like gone into X or anything to see what it might be. Sometimes there's a hint at what the news could be, but you don't know when it's going to open up. This could open in an hour. It could open up in 20 minutes. But what you will know is if you do go to this site, before it opens up, you'll see it go T1, T2, and then T3. And until you have full dissemination of the news, there won't even be some kind of quote resumption time. Given that it's 3 o'clock and it's still at T1, best guess, you might not actually see this open today.
Yeah, I know.
It's just a random.
No, you might not.
One.
Just an update here on the stock that we were long. We've only had one position here this afternoon. We talked about why we liked it. It's Palantir. It's up 10 cents. It's right back. We actually made this exact call.
Oh, really?
So we said that we were going to go to the 200 period right there. So again, we said we would put some orders here at the 80 mark. Obviously, it's come back down. So there's our first fill at 81. When we had talked about it, the 200 period was at like 1885. So it's now fallen back in. So we got some 78s twice, 77, and we just got an 81 there as well. Plus, we have new position. And I was putting it in the chat while Mr. Frank Caberna was on, and we were just literally talking about Alibaba short. So here's Alibaba, here's the short, and we're in it again. So it's down into 29. I have a bid at 26, but what does it really matter? We'll just put a 28 bid, cancel, there we go, we got filled. Cancel the 28, and now let's go a little bit lower. You're back into, once again, the 200 period. So let's go, man. That's one for Palantir. There's another one for Baba, so I owe you guys one more. So we're going to try to find something else coming through right now. But hey, man, that's it. There's Alibaba. It's a nice move in. And we said that we would trade this. The thing is that we waited for this high to breach. It did. It only went to 65. Now here's the downside push. My stop is breaking this 55 mark right there. But unfortunately, we don't have to worry about it. So it's about 10 cents or so worth of risk to bring it back down right now. Let's see if Alibaba can carry the day back in. So we'll wait to see where that goes from here. It's Alibaba, and it's making its move back down. Look at Palantir. Good outs there at the 50 period. You got to respect some of these outs. It's not really moving, so it's not like, oh my God, good thing we got out. But right now, Palantir looking to do something here, as we'll take some half prints, get out for now. But we'll wait to see what happens with Palantir. Hopefully back in. Back up, sorry, not back in. AMD is another one that's just crossing, again, it's crossing the trade ideas scanner for me that is heading to VWAP, and look where it is. It's right at VWAP right now.
Oh, Meta.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like I was just thinking, Neil just said so is Meta. But I agree with all these plays. It's just the market is breaking lower. Not that it's anywhere near VWAP. I mean, you could buy these dips for sure and be somewhat confident with it. It's 306 right now. I just don't know how confident I am. I'm already in Palantir.
Don't like longs up
shorts. Yeah.
I almost want Uber short off 50 if we're going to continue this.
Yeah, it's too bad Rivian is, like we wrote down here Rivian as one of the plays that we really liked, but unfortunately it's right to 1750 now, and that was the key level for us. I wish we would have still had that. Well, Rivian making moves, man. 306, we're getting close to earnings tonight too, so a lot of big names happening, right? So Rivian's one of those. Oh, you said Uber. Yeah, you're on Uber. I like that, where that is as well.
I mean, the market's rolling over. Are we breaking out the highs when Uber, like the market's not really rolling over. The market's pulling back off the big resistance level on the NASDAQ. And then you had the ES kind of rejecting 4,400. I know we always talk about the NASDAQ, but the ES is rejecting 4,400. So I might try to work in short here. And if I'm going to get something, I should have, there's size at 85. So I might take some in front and some behind. So some in front of that 85 order, get some 82s, and then if it breaks that, get some in the 90s. And the high of the day is like 50.05. So if it breaks the high of the day, I would just get out of this trade. So stop is in, add to it in the 90s. And if the market's going to continue this semi-slide, then I can see, I mean, at least getting to like 49.5, if not like 49.4. So let's work that one. Tesla was another opportunity. Tesla, like the market, Tesla finally gets above 220. It's like, yeah, Tesla's above 220, and then the market might be rolling over. So even when Tesla starts working above that price, it's like there's something working against it, which is the overall market. I want to be bullish ahead of 220, but then buying near highs doesn't seem to make a ton of sense to me. So it would be nice. I think it's a great sign. Holding the 220 level is going to be a good sign if it does do that on Tesla. Ram saying short Datadog. I'd love that if it was at 105. But it is breaking down. This could really fill in the gap. Try to figure like 101.50, that already broke, like 101 break. It has a big gap that it could fill in to the downside here. That's the reason I got out of it. It's just, you're up so far. Like how often I mean, sometimes 30% goes to 40%, but when that happens, it's usually like some kind of a squeeze name, and then you can work off of it. But yeah, I don't know if that's going to be the case. Disney reports. Yes. Oh my goodness, Disney. Disney's at put up or shut up time. I'll tell you that much. Like his stock, it's been getting in its own way for a very long time, and this is now once, twice, thrice at 86. If on earnings you can't break out at 86, then the stock is in a world of hurt. But that's the level. If we're above 86, I'm looking long on Disney tomorrow, hoping that it does. But once again, like this is just, It's doing absolutely nothing off VWAP. You're too far away. So I appreciate the shout out on Disney. I'll add to Uber. That's at a key level at the $50 level, so I can definitely work off of that one. AMD is not close enough to 113. It did bounce VWAP. That's not a bad long.
I was just looking at VWAP there. It bounced nicely, but it's only 10 cents, 15 cents.
Meta was there too. I don't know if I prefer Meta.
I don't know if I like
wow.
the longs, actually.
But see, the market barely even moved, and Meta's bounce is already $1. Meta's pretty strong off of VWAP there. If this stair steps to the upside, Meta feels like a good one, just the way that it responded to VWAP.
All right, Ryan, I just accepted. Oh, you come at the king, Ryan. You lose your 50 points. So I can just now lose all of those again and again and again back in. So, okay, just playing around here. Let's wait to see what happens with the market. I just got out of more BABA. So we did get, again, I don't know if this is going to be, well, I mean, I wish I knew, but I'm not sure if it's going to be weak, strong, or what, Alibaba, because it's down 0.4%. So if you're wondering why we picked this name to go short, I'm super bullish in the market, and we've already talked about that. But for Alibaba, it's red on the day. Just thought that we would see something there for Alibaba. Again, coming up to this 85.50 area or so. Thought that would have been a decent short, so we did that. It's good, but I just got more out at 32. We got that fill down there at 27, so we're getting lighter and lighter, man. We only have a quarter left of this trade. But, again, Palantir went up. We got more out of the 200, but we keep on forgetting that maybe it doesn't want to go higher. I was waiting at 84, not 83, so let's see if that one can start to print out for us on the high side now. For PLTR, I'm hoping the answer to that one is yes. Right now. All right, what are our thoughts on CDIO? I can have a look at that.
That's the dollar.
Is that the one that we had already talked? Yeah, $1.67. So again, pending some sort of news, obviously, CDIO right now with, wow, nice move up today, 150%. Obviously, it's not something that like I favor to trade these all the time, but you did just break out on this name. It just opened up on the gap, so that's nice. Now let's see, Cardio Diagnostics right now. Nice move back up to the upside. And again, on the daily, you're well stretched out. Watch out for 180 and watch out for a possible halt again. The volume is not dying down on this one. 125 million shares right now on Cardio. So I don't know, where does it have to go? It only has to go 20 cents to halt again, not even. So watch out for another halt potentially. And if anything, it's close to halting to the downside right now. So probably, did you already look for shorts? Or maybe you already mentioned it. Probably going to have to pay for this one on the short side.
You do, yeah.
So be careful. I would look at this 171 or so break higher to ignite the next halt level. But a lot of shares here, 125 million on the day. CDIO continuing to pump higher right into June levels again. So maybe there's something here, but nice move upside. They just resumed trade on that halt.
Yeah, I'd be careful with that one. It's like it's doing really good volume. The volume versus the liquidity is always a bit of a challenge because you'll see good volume, you're like, oh yeah, it's plenty liquid, but then you'd be surprised when it opens up. That when a stock halts multiple times in a day, it tells you a little something about the liquidity regardless of volume. Coinbase is stair-stepping up. Like it's like when I don't want to short it, that's when it looks like it's giving up that 88 level. If you are watching, and yes, you're right, DJK, it can rocket, but that doesn't mean it absolutely will. Talking about that CDIO. Starbucks, I know you were in, not today necessarily, but, oh goodness, okay, I'll go to there we go, the daily chart. Sheesh, the wicks on some of these charts. Starbucks, it's very, very close to a secondary breakout. This is what's troubling about the market. Like I feel as if when you're at these resistance points, like 104 right here on the daily, that's the clear pivot. It was support that broke, it turned into resistance. You're now consolidating off of that high. And this, like, here's your consolidation off of that high. It's hard to want to be long until it breaks out the top of this consolidation. And it sucks because your alternative is to short a stock which has been doing that. So as a day trade, it's like wait for it to make the next move as a day trader. And if the next move is breaking out through 4.5 and 5, then long till 8. Kind of rinse and repeat. But it's already made a strong move in there. I don't know what to do with that other than you could try to scalp shorts, but then you're doing what I'm doing in Uber, which is playing off of that 50 level because it's 50. And you're looking at that resistance point at the top and just saying, okay, well, I'm playing off that top because that's the top, and I don't want to go long right at that high. Like a dip into 49 would be excellent. I don't know if we get something along those lines. As far as Rivian goes, I'd like to stair-step this and buy another dip. I just don't know if we're even going to get that kind of a move. With only 45 minutes to go, I'm going to pop the offer at 17.7 or in front of 17.7, and I'll be out of it if it goes. And as you just said, CDIO did halt down. So,
Oh, did it? Yeah, there it is. Yeah.
well, that's the thing. I mean, like, yeah, it halted down and went like another 8 cents or so. That's what it took to halt.
Yep.
And the indicated open, 149 halt, 130. Good reason why you have stops, and getting out on the way up is never the worst idea on some of these. Indicating now 130 open, which is still above VWAP, but that's a lot of gains that you give up if you hold through halts down on these low float runners.
All right, guys. I see some talk there. Come on, Palantir. Yeah, so we'll cheer it on as well. Nice move upside for Palantir. Spin it. There it is. It was a good trade, obviously. Let's just wait to see how much further it goes. We'll wait and see if we get an 86. I mean, now you're almost all the way back to VWAP. I mean, VWAP is 90s, so if that can come through, there we go as we get an 86 right there again.
Oh my God.
That's a good one, and some money for that as it is dripping a little bit on that. So let's wait to see where we go now for PLTR. I mean, I'm hoping upside, but, oh, we got our 86. We just talked about that. Okay. Alibaba not doing much. We should be able to find something else. I didn't mind that Starbucks look there, but we do have, when was Disney again? I know it's later on this week. I just want to make sure it's not tomorrow morning, but is it? It could be. It's November 8th.
It's not
yeah,
tomorrow.
yeah, it is. Post.
It's after, yeah. It's not tomorrow morning.
Post tomorrow, so not before market there. Some reason I thought maybe Disney was before market.
Usually is.
Maybe not. All right, so kind of in the middle. I really just wanted to look at it to see if there was anything happening. Not so super excited about it, up 0.4 right now. Market obviously up much more than that. So there's Disney. Again, a pretty key level right there. I mean, if you like the short, you can get away from it if it does break above 40. I mean, the market's coming back. I've already picked the short there with Baba. So, yeah, a lot of people still underwater on Disney there, VWAP trader.
How could you not be?
You know, yeah, I mean, unless you
I'm like, what, did you just buy it then?
Yeah.
Or held it for, I mean, whatever.
Yeah, you could have. Yeah, it's not so bad. But again, yeah, you know, unless you were somehow able to hold out until 78 or, well, I mean, whatever. There will be some traders that are down here because the COVID bottoms are 80. That's when I started.
Yeah, if you're in the absolute bottom then, or if you owned it before COVID.
Yeah. I remember I was buying this like in the mid 90s.
It was a great travel recovery name. It was
great.
And it had streaming too, so it was the best of some of the COVID bottoms, logically speaking, on Disney. It's been a dumpster fire since.
I was, no word of a lie, it's gonna look like it is, but I got out right here. I was buying Disney because of the COVID, and then I didn't want to hold it. I remember, you can look this up, November, well, it must have been this report. So yeah, this report back in 2021, so 2 years ago, they had this huge move up on their D2C offering, right, direct to consumer, with Disney Plus, is it? No, it's Apple Plus. What is a Disney called? Disney Plus?
It is Disney Plus.
Is it Disney Plus?
Yeah, it's Disney.
Okay. So on that move, and then I was like, I'm not really feeling it. So we were able to get out somewhere. I thought it was 170. It could have been 180 something, but then this just started to happen. It still gave you some opportunities to get out anyways. But yeah, really destroyed all the way down to the downside. And then we were buying it back up. I think we had first bought it, like I said, probably mid-90s here in this consolidation. Then I know we bought it again in the mid-80s. So I'm still underwater as well with you guys on Disney, and I like it. We'll see moving forward. I still like ESPN there. They did a deal, I think it was with DraftKings, could have been FanDuel, but one of them again. So we'll see if that has any sort of follow through there. There was talk about, wasn't Paramount, it was somebody, it might have been private equity looking to take out ABC. So we'll see if there's some talk about that. That did spike the stock.
They finally did that Hulu. They finally completed that Hulu.
Yeah, so that was good. They got Hulu done, so that's nice. We just got another 86, and that's the same 86, Phil, that we got again on Palantir. So I think Disney has a chance to work. There's no doubt about that. We'll see what their earnings come through. But again, you don't really want to hold a stock for earnings plays because it's hard to guess where earnings are going to go. So just be patient with everything, and I think you'll be okay with Disney. So watch out for that. It's that whole go woke, go broke crowd.
That didn't help.
No.
Yeah, not at all. And it is what it is. You saw what it did to Target. Like the reality is, what it is with that. And the price action sometimes gets tricky because you're like, oh, but it's a value at that point. But it doesn't matter because when the price action's that bearish, you can talk value until you're blue in the face. And I always look at momentum and sometimes don't look at it enough in the long term. But I just took some out. I was mentioning in the chat there of Uber. The way that this looked strong, I took some early in the 80s and said I'd add if it got to 90, but should have just taken it all in the 90s if we're trading off that 50 level. So take some out, and if we reject 50 again, try to get a little tighter to that 50 to the upside for that short. Rivian's still in the pocket, but that CDIO, that's the life. It opened back up. It didn't open at 130. It actually opened right back up here at 47. It's already headed back down, and I don't think I would want to trade it. The interesting trade might be if it were to fall again and then bounce off VWAP, like get really close to halting off VWAP and then kind of like not halt. So resist a halt off VWAP and then try to get like a 25 long with a 5-cent stop, something along those lines. Not to catch a falling knife, but try to get one as it's bouncing. But other than that, I think I stay away from CDIO. Now that it's already going down, what's the point? Like, you want something strong in the afternoon if it's going to be one of these, unless you are shorting the tops. So, congratulations if you're shorting the tops there. I didn't really see anything that stood out. Rivian's now going sideways, not doing a heck of a lot there. In this market, it's very slowly turning around. So, it would make sense to look for some shorting opportunities. I want something that isn't necessarily Uber, but that's pretty gimmicky off the 50 even area. There's got to be something else. Russell asking about, every day there's a question about plug power. Interesting. I feel like this is a popular one. A, it's not moving. So we'll get that out of the way. B, it has not broken its downward trend. So if it gets above, the 50 period, $7, that doesn't even really break the trend. It looks like it would have to get to like 750 to 8, like that, somewhere in the 758 range, and this breaks the trend. However, and there's always a however, on the 15-minute, this is a very good-looking bottom. Right, like you have higher low on the 15-minute, support at $6, and then the trap at $6. So I'm not saying people got short underneath 6, but some people's stops got run, at least out of longs underneath 6 today, and then you're giving a consolidation into a potential breakout. Is there any sign that it's breaking this 630 today? Doesn't look like it, but if that breaks it tomorrow, that's a good little trade to fill in the gap. It does nothing for the daily trend, but at least it gives you like 630 with the potential to get up there like 5–10% to the upside on plug. So I like when it starts with liquidity grab underneath, and then you relieve pressure and then break out to the upside. You throw in maybe a decent short flow. I don't know what it is, so I'm checking. 26%, yeah, that's a good breakout. Just see no reason why it's happening today, is it's going sideways doing nothing. But I like the way this started.
All right, did I miss, like a note on Tesla or something here? Because, Tesla's at 222 again, and it was at 216. A great call by Ozan, if I remember correctly, in the morning. He was like, yo, where's a good level to get long? And I said, you could get long 216, but you have to watch out for that 215 level where I was sitting. That never came into play. And Ozan, you nailed that. So bang on that one if you were long, because right now, you're probably not still long, and if you are, amazing. Or maybe, I don't know, if you're in the chat, you let me know. But everything go boom right now with Tesla. A nice bottom and taking out this top, so I'm going to go with it. If we take out this 220, 225 level, that's going to be the high of the day on Tesla, and I kind of like that trade. I mean, it's going right now. Heading into Rivian earnings, we got Lucid tomorrow night. Just into here, we talked about that 220 area. And the reason why I like this, and again, we always consider ourselves risk managers, it's just like, if you take down that high, I mean, we can get out for, again, 75, like, if it drops back in, you can almost even use 222 flat as your out. Like, if you really wanted to, like, try to YOLO something and take a lot of shares or something like that, maybe it breaks this high and keeps on going. And then in that situation, then your risk on that would be 25 cents or something back in. Now, Tesla's going to probably break the high and come back, so you may want to not do that. But I just think, like, that's a good little level break for Tesla. It's up 1.2%, greater than the market now. It's been beat up. It's got a lot of a lot of sort of hate behind it right now. Like, people didn't like that move over the last couple of days. I think it's fine. It's just the NASDAQ has held this name underneath its 200 period. And then just as the market fell right now from 1 o'clock, Tesla did hold my beer move back up to the top since then. So I think there's some buyers here. We can see it. If it goes higher, I'm going to take this long. That's going to be Tesla. And then again, we will hold Palantir. I mean, if Palantir can get to 19, I like that level. So we'll get some out there on Palantir if that does it. But yeah, Tesla, you're right, the Kid Lizard there. Tesla doing Tesla stuff.
The Kid Lizard.
Yeah, I think that's
great name.
The Kid Lizard, yeah. So I don't know. We'll wait. There it goes. It's breaking through 222. Again, we're not doing that YOLO kind of trade, but I am going to take that break through the top of 222.20. So here it comes, coming back in. Since I've been talking about it, it's up like 30 cents. Probably should have just bought it instead. So we'll watch it. Here it goes, upside. It's Tesla. I'm breaker 190ing that one at the high of the day.
It looks like a bunch of EVs all went at the same time here. Just looking at this was Lucid in the last few minutes. That's barely moving. Obviously, you know, Rivian is starting to go. That's still at that high area, but it's not the only, like Fisker as well. Like that just made a little bit of a breakout. So you had a few names that just were doing pretty much nothing off VWAP, and some of these EVs are starting to garner some strength. Block, I was just looking at that. Shout out to Famunda in the chat. Block at the high of the day. I only noticed it because it got to the high of the day, let's be real. But trying to break out the high of the day, probably got out of this one a little bit early. If you're looking at the daily chart, like this area right here, this was that previous bottom, like 51.5. The October 22 low, and it flat bottom broke it. Now it's trying to get right back above it. It's in this channel, but there's still room to go. So whether it's you want to take a breakout at the high, you know, sort of be my guest. I don't know if I love it. It's not really moving enough for that. The thing about Tesla breaking out is like Tesla moves more in the afternoon. Block, this is not doing much. It's very slowly grinding up. So buying the absolute top, I don't know if I love it, but it has some room to 52. I think you try to make something work in there. Intel is not yet. Like the market bounces, Intel's strong, and it does not seem to want to get to 39. And it would be so tempting to say, well, that's close enough. Just short it at 38.85. Not really. Like I want to see it get to 39. If you had the same attitude with like Uber, I'd have been short 40 cents ago, and then all of a sudden when it breaks 50, you just lose twice as much. So wait for that 39 level. Pranana, we don't have unless you know something different. Day Trade the World is going to get options at some point. There's always questions about it, but there's no firm date on it just yet that I have seen. Apple swings. Any stock that holds a 200 period moving average breaks out the 50. It just took out the 181. And the thing about when you're like, technical trading, I don't do much swing trading. A lot of times it's like some really simple things on like penny stocks and dollar levels. But if I'm ever doing it in big cap tech, I'm generally speaking always wanting it to be breaking out, holding a 200 period moving average, and breaking the 50, something along those lines, so you can like stop there and be long breaking here, and then stopping there, and then trying to make it get back into the highs. Generally speaking, that's what I would look for. Keep it really simple. Apple's on an absolute tear, and now that you're going to close above 181, and the 180 level, 181 here on the daily, there's a lot of room for it to get to that 190. And it's great that you basically took out the 200 period moving average held and the 50 period on the daily held literally in consecutive days. So very, very strong move. I wouldn't put any, until it gets to 190, any level that looked decent for a short is pretty much cleared out till it gets to 190.
Yeah, we wanted to stay long above 180, and today on Apple, that's basically what we did. I mean, we have a couple great trades for Apple today, and they were just, one was early and one was in the midday late at 12. I guess it wasn't that late, at 12:15. It felt like it was later than that, but there was the move down on some sort of a story about iPhone production being cut or something until they figured out some kind of a bug or something like that. So right now, we'll have to wait to see what's going on with Apple. But regardless, it's moving here to the north side. And there was our out, man. And by the way, let's go. Money. If you guys, you guys want what's good, I was giving, again, I'm just happy that it's working out. Because we talked about Tesla. taking out the high of the day there at 222.20. That's where we're long. So there it is, man. We got out at 50s there because, again, bringing it back to 222 was going to be something. So I want to take 25 cents on a third of it. Now we'll see where Tesla wants to go for yet another. I told you.
Another one.
Palantir.
Another one.
Baba.
Another one.
So Tesla, let's see what happens. You guys trade this hopefully to the moon with me here, and we'll see where Tesla goes. Next out, man, why not just take 223s? Take another 70 cents on it, and here it comes. Nice upside move for Tesla. Oh, yeah, and by the way, what's happening with Palantir as well? That just mooned to 90. That should have been taken out. I might just punch out some half prints there. Did we get anything there? Yes, we did. We got 87.5. So there we go. There's I think it's called Fox River or something. You can punch out, and generally you'll get a half print if it's there. Arca also gives good half prints if there's there, and there are some. You could see, look at all the trading. All these blue ticks, the green is going to be what's off 87, the red's going to be what's off the bid, and then all the blue in the middle are all half prints. You're actually going to see, probably going to see more volume on half prints than you do on the even level anyways throughout the day. So that's definitely, if you're with not with Trader TV Live, if you're with Day Trade the World, there are many opportunities to find routing keys, and make sure you ask your trading floor development team or some more experienced traders on how to do that because there are many settings for half point prints here.
Yeah, and again, it matters more. It matters more on things like Palantir. I mean, to an extent. I mean, things like Rivian, Neo. You might not care about it when you're trading the Apples of the world, but when you're trading the cheaper ones, it does add up. If you're taking a 10-cent move on like a $2 stock, saving an extra half cent every single time actually does make a material difference. I'm out of Rivian mostly because I just saw, when the market got back into the highs, Tesla just broke out the top, and Rivian turned around off a double top high. So that's enough for me to get out. It was close enough to that top, and it's also past 330. It doesn't matter that I just looked at the early look, and it's 519 million to sell. That doesn't really matter, but I wanted to see this continuing if Tesla broke out, not the exact opposite. So no continuation, but it held a decent consolidation. Didn't really break out until, let's be real. I think this broke out when Frank was talking, as usual, because that's how things work out. But let's go. Rivian finally looking strong. You know what's actually green today? I just saw this in the chat. Not Palantir, it's PayPal. PayPal has been just incredibly disappointing. And when I looked at everything Square was doing, and Square has been a good long for a couple of days now, PayPal, the fact that it's even holding green is good. The market is at the highs, and this is just trying to break off of those lows. I don't know if it breaks 55 today, but first sign of strength and then breaking out 55. Again, decent gap to be filled. I'm going to put that on the radar for tomorrow. I'm not sure that Uber is going to hold on to this 50 level with a market this strong. So we took out our long for profit, but if this takes out the high, which is at 50.05, I get out. I am contemplating. I saw in the chat at least one person is looking to reverse it. I'm not automatically reversing. Not with the market unable to break out here on Uber. I'm too worried at this late of the day to take a breakout after 3:30 on a false break. If this was at 2 o'clock, a little bit earlier maybe, but you're starting to get late in the day here. And guess what? CDIO.
Congratulations!
I wouldn't have held it, but it manages to actually hold that halt down and regain the halt price. I would have looked for something in a VWAP here for it to travel further down, but it's starting to get back into that upside. The buying, the volume's not great. You guys can see that there, but it's at least decent. It's holding up volume, not really gaining in volume. I don't know if it can take out that high again, but the fact that it didn't make another press to the downside, a strong one after halting down, is generally speaking a very, very good sign. That's what you want to see on something like this. I'm going to stay away from it. Upstart, do they beat on earnings today? I don't know. If I was smart enough to be able to guess whether they're going to hit or miss, then I'd probably trade. If you could guess hit or miss, you could probably make money trading in the aftermarket. The fact that we don't trade in the aftermarket should tell you how we feel about it. I'll tell you this much. Anything with a pulse and a short float in this earnings season, generally speaking, I want to trade to the long side. Mm-hmm. So it's a 40% short float, 39.7. It's close enough. And it doesn't matter where it goes. If it can be down 10%, I'm probably looking for an SSR bounce. If it breaks out at 35, I'm only looking long. Like, that's the way I want to approach it. Like, I don't care what the report is. I'm not looking to buy and hold this thing in the long-term account. At least I haven't been. But it's holding the 50 period for now. This breaks out 305. Don't fight it. Just, 40% short float is what it is. It's a gigantic one of the biggest ones out there for the report, and this is aftermarket time. I don't know what time, but I'm going to make the assumption that Sean will be able to cover it in the after show. And most things are going to report in that first 30-minute window. So you're going to see in the recap where this is headed. And even if it's down, I probably come in tomorrow thinking SSR bounce, because 40% short float. It's hard to like something as a short trade after earnings with a float that big, a short float that big, because one way or another, shorts are probably looking to cover it. Let's go to the desk and handle some biz.
Brought to you by IG.com. Trade Forex pairs like Euro USD with spreads as low as 0.8 pips and zero commissions at IG. Terms and conditions apply.
Yeah, terms and conditions apply.
Always.
IG, Frank Caberna came through today, so from IG.
Shout out to you, Frank.
Yeah, shout out to you, Franklin. Okay, right there. All right, so 220.60. We just got out at 80 there, so fire the alarms for that one as we wake Ramin up over there, because that was really loud.
Everything's louder.
You know what? I'm gonna put a stop in, get out. Honestly, if this breaks back below, I'm already out of 2/3 of this. I'm just gonna take this out on a break below where we're in. That's it. Oops, that failed. I gotta do that again. So 222.19. Let's just get out. We've already taken, honestly, we're just stacking now. So it's fine. Like, we just got out at 80 there. So we got out at 50 for 25 cents, then we got out at 80 for 60 cents. Now we'll wait to see what happens, and if it pulls back in, we got the 20 period right there now, so that's our out anyways. So if it comes back in, that's that. We talked about the different strategies you could use on this one, whether or not you wanted to go long and hold it all the way back, go long, bigger share size, get some out because you had that 222 protection. So a little bit of back and forth talk there on the style and the strategy. So I'm out of 2/3, holding 1/3 for the dream, and we kind of got the dream because it went to 223, but now we'll wait to see if something does come through at the end of the day. I was getting real excited about the long, so I did get out of Alibaba there for flat. We make the money there, get out now, put another positive name on the board for Alibaba, so that's going to be another one. The only name that we're actually read today, crazy talk here, which is kind of ridiculous, is Rivian, where we were long down here below 17, only to see now that it just goes to 1750, where if that's my target, then we should have shorted that. So 1750 just came in there for Rivian. That's the target on the sticky note. It just came in. Again, watch out for earnings.
I got the best worst stock of the day.
The best worst stock?
So during lunch,
I don't have any bad stock.
During lunch money, easily the trade that I was in the longest, in terms of just holding on to it at the $5 level on Peloton, stopped out, and then I was up to the desk doing lunch. But by the time I got back here, went to the bathroom, and then got back here, it was already flushing. So that wick out, sometimes you can get back in. It is what it is. But like, here, the important thing is, like on DataDog or DraftKings or whatever it might be, I'm multiple times short the stock to get stopped out in the worst possible way. But it should never outpace what you get on a game, because if that happens, and then you end up, that's how you lose money as a trader, if your losses are bigger than your wins. So ultimately, it sucks, but it should have made the day better. The thing about this isn't stopping out bad. It's not getting back in that's the fail. Like, you can stop out all you want, but if 2 minutes later, in this case, that's a 15-minute chart, so let me pull it up here. If 5 minutes later, and it's more like 5 or 6, it gives the consolidation under here, it gives a consolidation breakdown at 5, just above the 5 level, those are all re-entry spots, and obviously I didn't get them, but it's going to happen to you every now and then. There was a question in the chat about an iceberg on Uber. I have the level 2 up. I don't think it's an iceberg order. I think it's just, I haven't seen enough volume that would tell me it's an iceberg order. Yes, it's not breaking 50, but that's just an even dollar level, and I haven't seen it hit that level with enough size on the lit book. When I say lit, I mean non-D prints and dark pools. Like, there's a bunch of D prints that go off, but I haven't seen enough going off in the actual gateways on 50 to say that there is an iceberg order sitting up there at 50 even. It seems like run-of-the-mill resistance at this point.
Man, I can't spin for anything. I just put in the chat, we're 6 for 7 on names, but we are 0 for everything today on the spins. All right, so Palantir really starting to go back up to VWAP again. Let's see if it gets higher. I mean, we have 10% left of everything, and we got out at 66%. A third left of Tesla now as that's starting to go. We've already given you the target for Tesla. You can get out if you want to right there. So we'll wait for it. I did like Starbucks. We've been talking about that all day as well. Let's see some names that are going to be reporting. Forget about everything else. All right, Upstart. We saw Carvana the other day, right? So CVNA came out, I believe it was yesterday or 2 days ago on their report as well. We could probably see that by the volume. But there's Carvana, again, up a little bit. Look at this move. $26 all the way to 35. And their earnings report, CVNA was, hold on one second. CVNA was a couple days ago, right? Yeah, November 2nd. So there's that bottom again. Look at the short float. You know, Carvana 40 points. And then look at that day where they reported nice upside move there. That is, again, November the 2nd. So again, $27 all the way to $35. So that could be it. Oh no, what happened to Tesla? All right, so Tesla just came back in, so that's good. We'll go, oh my God.
Oh my God.
Because we did get stopped out there actually for where we had it. I was like, I thought Tesla was going upside there. I was like, oh my God, did I leave it right there at 223? But we didn't. Downside move. We could have actually adjusted that. Oh no, we accidentally got long Alibaba there. We got to get out of that one. But as you can see right now, we're just going to punch out immediately on Alibaba. There it is. We punched out. We had a bid left there, so we'll cancel everything. But what I was getting at there was Tesla. Oh, Palantir. No, it was Tesla I think we were talking about. Yeah, so there it is. Nice downside move. And if I was being a little more prudent, we could have put it out there at 38. Where that 20-period moving average is, but we got out again for flat, so it took some advantage on that move up. Now we're out. The only thing we got left, with only a couple minutes left until the imbalances. Did we get what that imbalance number was? Yeah.
500.
Yeah, 500 to sell right now, and if you're wondering about the imbalances, this is what they look like. All on the broker side, we have NEM, we have Ford, Energy Transfer, EPD. I was going to say, like, really only down here. And again, get rid of that NYSE because that's from the morning, but it's just Uber with a small buy. I mean, these numbers are nothing. You like to see millions here to do anything, so this is an early look
I don't know what NEM
at the imbalances. I'm actually going to cancel this and only look at New York and NASDAQ, so when they pop in, we'll see what's good. So for right now, that's what's happening.
There was a question just now about implied volatility, implied move on eBay. So 6.1%. That's what I just saw. It just disappeared. It was there for free. It was 6.1%, but I guess there's like a paywall in there. But it was showing it for free when I was in incognito mode like a second ago in Options AI. So it's 6% on eBay, not crazy. I think that's kind of in the pocket for them. There was a question to go over CDIO, but I feel like we already did that one. This late in the day with only 15 minutes, I don't want anything off those highs. But look at the pullback. Like Rivian. And again, like so I'll give you the reason why I moved from offering 17 in front of 1770 was Tesla broke out. A bunch of EV names also made some moves. And in that moment, Rivian just held the same high and even pulled back a little bit. So to me, it's like just get it out there at the 50 level because suddenly when its cohorts are going, it's stopping its move. And then this is where it goes back into the downside. Now, obviously, next level would have been to short it there, but I was never really thinking short Rivian, so it didn't really matter. Your CDIO, it's not mine, it's not anybody's. It's holding up pretty well. I mean, I don't really see an obvious trade here unless if you're holding it, maybe you're holding because you want to have some for the dream and you've already made some. Like if you took a long at $1, I can see why you'd just be like, okay, fine. I've already paid some out there when it broke 150 and you hold on to some of it just because it happens to be like a day two-ish move on this. But it's already gone a little bit parabolic. It's at those resistance levels here. Like I don't know what you're holding for unless you have some reason to, like you know why this could go any further. I don't have any of that except for the technical. So I could see this continuing to sort of go sideways into the close there. So we'll see. I mean, if you have a reason to target $8, I just saw someone put CDIO price target is $8. I don't know what to make of that. I've seen that kind of a move happen before, but generally speaking, when I'm taking a dollar break, I'm taking the dollar and running. Shout out to you, Tellurian, because if I held on to that one for more, hey, look at that, Tellurian, it's up today. Doesn't matter, I'm out of this thing when I took it from $1 to 160, and I was actually a fool because I could have done the same trade twice, but they're penny stocked usually for a reason, and they eventually come back in. That's what this one did. So there's your, I mean, it's a bit different because it's not that parabolic, but $1 to $1.60. It then bounced. I didn't reload it here, but I did take it out. And then it broke the dollar level, so there you go. Once these things get back there, it tends to get pretty nasty. Good luck when you've got them early. And Clover, that was the one we kind of neglected. Did that get back to $1 today? No, but it's trying. So I'm not a fan. I'm not saying buy Clover or Clover is the greatest thing in the world or you got to go long Clover. However, it did the under dollar try to regain it tomorrow play on earnings, which is not a bad look for it to break $1 tomorrow. So this is the daily chart. It broke the bottom, immediately regains it today, and it's hunting for a dollar breakout. So liquidity grab underneath on earnings and on good volume, confidence to the shorts, and then rip their faces off on a dollar break. And the good thing about a dollar break is you have lots of obvious stop out areas like 90 cents, 95 cents, 99.9 cents, which I've done before. So yeah, Clover will be on the radar tomorrow. The best part about it, it'll be SSR. It's down 16%. So you also have the fact that it's short sell restricted, which that never hurts when you're looking at some kind of a not great company to go upside. I want a short float. I want SSR. I want a ridiculous catalyst. I want a low float. Like those are reasons why you favor the long side on one of these types of names.
Yeah, I was going to bring up a point here about Meta because if I feel like it's more gambling right now to take a position with only 3 or 4 minutes now. I don't think it is gambling. I know it's gambling, taking a position into these imbalances. But people keep asking about Meta. Like, it's at VWAP right here. We've already seen it bounce off once, and it gave you about $1.50, $1.30 or so on that move right there. Now it's falling back in. So I feel like the risk to reward here is absolutely fantastic. It's just, it's too late for me. So this is just a level. And a lot of you guys, I always hear on the chat about learning trading and things like that. This is an extremely, extremely hard thing to do, trading behind us. You're going to see like, we go through a lot of traders on the floor. A lot of traders come in. It's tough to find your way. You got to put in the time and figure all of that out. Figure out your own proper style, the risk management, so on and so forth. So just put in your time, put in your effort, and work on your craft, right? If you're going to become I mean, that's the definition of becoming a professional, being able to earn a living or an income doing something, right? Being a professional accountant, you got to go to accounting school or whatever those courses are. Same thing for lawyer, any kind of a professional like that. So
accounting sucks.
If you want to be a trader, you know, you're going to have to put in the work. You can't just go to school, learn how to become a trader, apply, and then you're a trader. But it's a lot of hands-on, so just keep the time in there, and everyone will be fine. But there's Meta right now trying to make that move in. So we only have a couple more minutes. The market's falling back. This is a good opportunity right now to possibly get Meta. So there it is. Daryl still has a piece from 320.50.
Bloom.
I think that's great, man. I mean, those are great levels. That's like a me kind of a trade right there, Daryl. So congratulations on that one. Holding a little piece from those tops. So yeah, if you were bearish up there, great trade. Again, I would be thinking about getting some out, but we don't, you know, we just advise what we see, trade your own book. But again, I just get nervous because heading into those imbalances, Daryl, and anybody else, like what if Meta, and I don't think there's no reason for Meta to come a huge buy or a huge sell. So it's probably going to be a nothing burger. It's just, we've seen it before. All of a sudden, and again, with the NASDAQ up 1%, could it happen? Yeah, you could get a lot of buy orders here into the close. The next thing you know, Meta shoots up, but you have some protection. You have 320 protection, and if it shoots down and you're long, you could always get out down here as well. So a lot of opportunities to happen right now. And of course, look, man, paper hands me, but I already had the strategy there for Tesla. We already made money, put that on the board, and you know, I got out because I was nervous about exactly what I'm speaking about here. So be patient. I think Rivian earnings, and remember, Lucid adopted Tesla's charging stations yesterday, so that could be a catalyst for Lucid. Lucid reports, though, tomorrow night, not tonight. It's Rivian tonight, it's Polestar, it's Lucid tomorrow. I think that's a huge catalyst because a lot of people wonder about charging. So if now you can just roll into a generic charging station, which is going to be Tesla, right? I think they're called lightning chargers or something. Once they're generic enough, and we now have, 30 companies or something adopting them, that is going to be the baseline. So good for Lucid. Congratulations for them and shareholders. Big day for them.
Yeah, no question about it. It's a very, very busy earnings board tonight and tomorrow morning. So, you know, we'll be here for you pretty much every single day. But it's going to be a lot to go over, not just in the recap show in terms of what's coming out, but then tomorrow morning digesting all of it's going to be a little bit wild. So with only 20 seconds to go until it bounces, the only good news is I don't have to move my stop on Uber because it breaks out that high, we get out. But I am getting some bids that are a little tighter where it is because you're going to have this imbalance come. If it does happen to flush, then great. But if I get stopped out on this number, it's like it would have happened anyways. I just always want to tighten stops at 350 in anticipation of some kind of a spike. And if it goes against you at 350 on the imbalances, I never want to hold through. So there they are. I mean, no spike on Uber. It was a small sell to begin with. I just realized I didn't have this up. NEM, that was there before. Apple, 1.5 million to sell. Ford is 1 million to sell, but that's a pretty cheap name, relatively speaking. Apple's a big one at 1.5 to the sell side. Uber is a buy of 400,000. That's not very big either. Amazon's a small sell, 400,000. Microsoft's a small sell, 400,000. So a couple of small sells in there for some of the big cap tech names. And I'm on the bid of Uber, just trying to get this out. It's fill the bid, it won't fill the bid. I want to be getting something out there, so if it's not going to fill me on the bid, I'm just going to punch out, pay the spread. We'll hold it and see if it can hold up until, not break that 50 level and fill some of these bids in there. But it is at that time of day where you got to get a little bit more aggressive. Someone's saying Lucid is tonight.
It is tonight.
It is tonight?
Yep.
Okay. I actually wasn't sure. I didn't look that one up today.
Screwed that one up.
Yet another. It's a very, very busy. It's going to be super busy after. You have a lot to go over. And these EV names, while they bounced late in the day, they have been relatively weak going into this. So they've all been pretty strong in the afternoon, but they've mostly been relatively weak going into this last couple of days. There you go. Roblox, a big one tomorrow morning, obviously, and then it's the Fisker, the Polestars, Rivian, all with big short floats. It's just Lucid didn't make the list, I guess.
Yeah, how's that possible?
We're hating on Lucid at Trader TV Live, apparently.
That's okay because Bumble made the list, and so did Devon Energy. So it's
the New York Times company made the list. Stock literally no one will ever trade.
Wow.
I shouldn't say ever, but you know what?
Sharif under the bus.
No, I was trying to. I was throwing shade at the Times. That was my attempt there.
Well, regardless, look at that. Fisker, Polestar, Rivian, Lucid, all tonight, all tomorrow, coming into play there. Get ready to rock and roll with all of that. All right, yeah, I got to get over there and start to set everything up because I hadn't yet, and sometimes it does not work out properly. There it is. We'll punch out the rest at 83.50, so good out there. Not a good out, but good outs up top there for Palantir. Again, into VWAP. Good trading there off that. Our Tesla did move to 223, so congratulations on that one. And then congratulations to Daryl because I don't know what Meta showed up as, but there's the play back down. So we'll hit the flush for that, not for me, for you. Daryl, you mentioned you were short up there at 320.50. So there it is. We'd have to cover now, which is what I'm doing, covering everything here into the close. Now flat. So I know Neil still has Uber, so we'll wait to see if anything happens with that one. But there it is, nice move down. You can join me in the after show, which is going to happen right now. There it is right here. Watch there. Where is it? Here it is right here. Today, where there's Lucid. We got it marked on right here. So Rivian, Upstart, Occidental, Bros, Lucid, Robinhood. Join me today. And also this guy, Brian Shannon, today as well. Shout out to him, 300,000 followers. We're going to talk to him at CMT, of course, coming through. A lot of earnings tonight. Should be a very, very busy one as we look forward to having a lot of fun on that closing show. So, wow, yeah, we'll still have energy, believe it or not, for that as we get ready to rock and roll. Nice downside push there for Meta. What is Rivian doing? Damn you, Rivian, man. We had you. This should have been the best trade of the day for me, but was not. Apple as well. What a moonshot that was today. Good trading on Apple today. Bought it early at 179.50. Sold it. Bought it late again. Sold it at the high of the day. Good trading there for that. But yeah, man, good job. Good win on Meta. Congratulations, Daryl. Shout out to Ponzi Fonzie as well. There he goes. He wanted a shout out. You got it, my guy. Ponzi Fonzie right there. Check him out in the chat.
Was able to, sorry.
Everybody, yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
I got a fill on Uber, but at this point, there's no point holding it back into 50 even. It was able to get down there underneath 49.80, but I'm gonna take it back at the 90 level. So it didn't really move much, but it also didn't break the back. We'll look at this level tomorrow. I think it's going to be very much in play off this 50 level for Uber. And again, the imbalances didn't really make much of a dent for this name. The market pulled back. The market's actually still pulling back, and that barely went. So I think getting out was the right call. Just double checking back on Rivian, like wow, It actually bounced. Give me like 30 seconds or so. Just looking at some of these, there's a couple of really big imbalances, like in NEM. So we'll go to Sean in a quick second, but there's a couple of big imbalances I want to have a look at.
Yeah, okay. No problem. So I closed my stuff there, but I did want to just quickly look here. I was looking at Upstart coming through to today, so UPST. I just wanted to have a quick look because, again, this is going to be one where you're going to come out with earnings. We talked about where the short float was. We've talked about other names getting to the upside on said short floats. We just looked at Carvana, and here's Upstart right now. So get ready. It's tonight. It's 40%. I'm super excited about it. I think there's going to be a lot of opportunities here for Upstart. Look at it. Absolutely barcoding. This is a 5-minute chart. So if we just sort of take it back a little bit, look at the move it's had in. We've had PayPal upside. We've had Square upside. Those names don't even have, sure they have a short float, but it's sub 10%. So let's wait to see what happens here now with Upstart. I mean, target area, 3150, why not for Upstart? I think it will get higher than that. Here's a weekly chart for these guys. Huge move up. Like, the fact that Upstart was $400 at one point, I mean, don't even look at that. I had the weekly up because I was helping Sharif with DraftKings. But here's the move down. There's the 200 period at 27 and change. So that's what you're looking at right now for these guys. It would not be a surprise. I don't know if you want to run and get calls now. Up to you to do whatever you want. But I mean, why can we not get to 35? 35 is only 15% higher from here. It can get to that, let alone maybe 32.50 at some point as well. So I feel like there's going to be a lot of opportunity here for Upstart on the daily. 35 bucks. This name could come into play.
Meta's tanking right now. I'm good.
Yeah, okay.
Meta's absolutely tanking here, down to 318 after a reversal at 355. Can't say this enough. At 355, when the imbalances come out at 350, regardless of what they are, when 355 hits, it's a major pairing event on all of the imbalances. And a lot of times, whatever is happening, just be wary of a curl. This is why you hear us say time and time again, I'm tightening my stop, or I'm getting profit out, or I'm doing something when 350 hits. It's exactly for this reason. So big reversal there. Apple as well. I mean, if you're tracking Apple, I mean, here it is. Like, that's absolutely wild. Like, that gets super strong pretty much all day. But look at the pullback. That gave up like maybe 70 cents there on Apple. Microsoft as well. Load. It'll slow there. Microsoft as well, breaking down underneath VWAP. So, respect the strength overall on the day, but there was some profit taking, no questions to be asked. Some profit taking late in the session here on Apple, as I just said. Microsoft underneath VWAP after all that strength. The good news is, hey man, Tesla, for a couple of days, Tesla had Tesla in the doghouse because it couldn't take out this level. But suddenly, here we are. There's 2 minutes left in the day. Everything's pulling back, and Tesla's going to close above 220. I've been looking for this to make the close above this number. You're finally, it's about bloody time. Well, okay, fine. I don't want to jinx anything, but that 200 period moving average, I want to see things reclaim it. Tesla is trying to reclaim that 220 as we speak. It's going to close above unless something absolutely ridiculous happens in the final 90 seconds, which, I mean, let's be real. If it gets underneath 220 that quickly, I'll lose my mind. Alphabet, just another name, big time drop. Like, they're taking profit on these tech names right here at the end of the session. So it's a little bit, sometimes you want to close on the highs. And I'm feeling like that's exactly the case here. I wanted us closing on the highs. I still like where we're at, but I don't like the way that some of these big cat tech names pull back, with the exception of I'm pretty pleased with Tesla overall. Uber as well. You can't say enough about that. It was right to get out. You're right back at the 50 level. I don't think we do much different on Uber except look for the breakout that never occurred. So it's above that level on the daily, that 49.5, and now you're clearing out, potentially clearing out to 50. I hate speaking in certainties, so I shouldn't speak in certainties. You're potentially clearing out that 50 for tomorrow, and then it has all kinds of room to run to the upside. The Qs, unfortunately, did not make that major break in terms of getting through that level on the daily chart, but that can still happen tomorrow. We got 30 seconds left. There was a crap ton of earnings, I almost said the other thing, coming through at the bell, so you're not going anywhere. But it's been a wild day. The longs were fantastic early. It took a lot of patience in the afternoon. You didn't want to be over trading. It feels like that's been the way the market's been going. But I think we get a lot of volatility as we have a big earnings day with some big squeeze potential names. You got to get the camera off me and put it on Adara in the baby blue, the North Carolina blue, Penix for Heisman. In the 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And the market is now closed. So obviously you had a fantastic day. The NASDAQ's up 0.9%. The ES, just double checking that, 0.2, okay, fine. It was all big tech. It was mostly the NASDAQ and not the ES leading the way here, but we'll take it. Overall, you had to be in the right names like we always say. I want to shout out, we had some technical difficulties with some of the Zoom stuff, and shout out to Fabian and Ramin, making sure that we get through all of that. As always on the midday, you saw Dara just now, Obi, Sharif doing a great job on that midday show. Thank you very much to Brennan, as always, bringing us that live news, holding it down at the desk, and Frank dropping the knowledge and being correct on our favorite Seinfeld character, which is George. Apparently. I like George. You know who I am. You know where you're headed. You got a whole host of earnings after market today. Let's get right onto the desk with Mr. Katina for the recap.
All right, welcome, guys. It's going to be a busy, busy time right now coming through. We're very, very excited to have you join me on the Market Recap Show. Thank you so much for doing so, and make sure you do hit the like and the subscribe so we can keep the fun going day after day after day. Come over to my screen if you're looking for earnings. Today is that damn day. It's